What if your dream of building a thriving startup was crumbling in front of your eyes? This isn't just some hypothetical. It's the reality for Alex Hart, a 22-year-old entrepreneur who risked everything to chase his vision, only to find himself staring down failure. Alex's story isn't over, but right now, it feels like he's balancing on the edge of a cliff, watching the dream he built with his own two hands teeter dangerously close to falling apart. Let's go back a year ago. Alex was fresh out of college, filled with an unshakable belief that his idea could change the world, or at least his corner of it. He'd created an app called PulseSync, a tool designed to help remote teams stay connected and build meaningful relationships in an increasingly digital world. It was innovative, sleek, and had the potential to redefine team collaboration in a way no one else had done before. The early wins came fast, but with success came challenges that Alex hadn't anticipated. The early wins came fast. Alex spent sleepless nights fine-tuning the pitch, practicing it in the mirror, on video calls, and in front of anyone who would listen. All that work paid off when his first investor wrote a $100,000 check. That moment was electric. Alex still remembers the rush. It was like validation bottled in ink and paper. He called his parents seconds after leaving the meeting, his voice catching as he told them, "It's happening. My company's real." The money allowed him to hire 2 developers, set up a small office in the heart of the city, and bring his idea to life. And for a while it was working. The app hit 10,000 downloads within 90 days of launch. Tech blogs were calling it promising, and Alex was invited to speak at a local startup conference. He started building a team, a mix of designers, marketers, and coders, all of them young and hungry, just like him. They worked tirelessly, staying late into the night, fueled by pizza, energy drinks, and the shared belief that PulseSync could be massive. There were nights they popped champagne over small wins, like their first 5-star review or landing their first paying client. It felt like nothing could stop them. But with success came challenges that Alex hadn't anticipated. Features broke during critical times, and the competition was fiercer than he ever imagined. Within 6 months, the user base plateaued. Clients who had been interested were pulling back, opting for bigger, more established platforms. Worse, some investors started questioning their involvement, tightening budgets, and asking when they'd see real profitability. Last month, the first blow hit. An angel investor, who had been one of Alex's biggest cheerleaders, pulled out completely. The funding they counted on never materialized, and suddenly Alex's runway, the finite amount of time they had before the money ran out, shrank dangerously. Bills began to pile up. He had to make an impossible decision, either pay his developers that month or keep the lights on in the office. Alex tried not to let his fear show, but even he couldn't hide the weight of what was happening. There's a moment he still replays in his mind, just 2 weeks ago, sitting in the office by himself after everyone else had gone home. He stared at a spreadsheet that told him exactly how bad the numbers were. His team didn't know yet, but they were weeks away from bouncing their paychecks. He put his head in his hands, the crushing realization settling in that this wasn't a bad dream. It was his life. But what hurt even more than the money was the doubt creeping into his mind. Had he been naive to think he could pull this off? That night, he looked at his reflection in the darkened office window and whispered, "What if I've let everyone down?" Yet, when Alex looked at the walls around him, covered in flowcharts, sticky notes, and sketches of new ideas, a spark of determination still lingered. Giving up wasn't in his DNA. He could remember so clearly the fire that had gotten him here, the excitement of solving a problem, the adrenaline of pitching to investors, the satisfaction of seeing his product come to life. He'd taken hits before, failing a coding competition, having his college entrepreneurship professor laugh at his first pitch. But every time, he got back up. Alex's story isn't over, but right now, it feels like he's balancing on the edge of a cliff, watching the dream he built with his own two hands teeter dangerously close to falling apart. Today, Alex is standing at a crossroads. His team doesn't know it yet, but tomorrow morning, he's calling an all-hands meeting. He has to tell them the truth. The money doesn't add up. He has to decide, do they pivot and focus on a smaller but more sustainable part of PulseSync? Do they double down on finding investors, even at the risk of giving up more equity? Or the unthinkable option, do they fold and walk away? Alex needs your help. What strategies should he use to turn his startup around? Should he crowdfund? Should he partner with a big company? Or is it time to rethink the dream? Share your advice in the comments, and let's show Alex and every other entrepreneur struggling like him that failure isn't the end. It's just another step on the path to something greater. If you want to tell your stories too, reach out to us, and see you on the next one.